Africa has made significant progress in institutionalizing electoral democracy over the past decade. This is reflected in the number of successful multi-party elections in some of African Union member states. The African Union contributes to the electoral observation through the African Union Election Observation Mission. And joining me now to talk more on this is His Excellency, former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Your Excellency, good evening, and thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to speak to Parliament TV. If you could, just to kickstart this conversation, if you can just share on the establishment of the African Union Election Observation Mission, its mandate and its objectives.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having us, and to say that the African Union over the past years has been sending missions to different African countries, and the whole to observe elections, and the whole purpose is really to entrench democracy, to learn best practices from different countries which can be passed on, and to really deepen democracy on the African continent. So this particular mission was here to observe the South African elections. We are a team of 65, composed of 35 women, 35 men, quite a cross-section of young people, some ambassadors, some parliamentarians, and people from different civil society organizations across the continent. And we deployed in 21 missions across all 9 provinces of South Africa, with the view of monitoring these elections, and with the purpose of ensuring that the elections were conducted in a free, fair, transparent manner, and that at the end the result would reflect the will and the wish of the people of South Africa. So that was our mission, that was our objective.
Given this important mandate, how does the mission balance its role with principles of non-interference with member states and impartiality and independence for the observation?
For a start, we are not involved in the elections. We are here to observe. We are observers during the elections. We are not here to dictate terms. We are not here to take sides. We are not here to influence elections. Like I said in my opening statement, we are here, and our objective is that the processes and the manner in which the election is conducted will ultimately reflect the wish of the people of South Africa. Yeah? So we are not here in any way whatsoever, and that the elections do meet best practice standards. And if there are areas that we think a country could improve, we make recommendations. But vice versa also happens. There are areas that we see that we can learn best practices which can be copied in other African countries.
Your Excellency, are you able to share what are some of those areas?
Well, let me say that as far as this election goes, we can generally say without fear of favor, we think that the election was done credibly. We think the IEBC did handle themselves in a transparent manner. We acknowledge that there were a number of challenges, logistical challenges in terms of delay, maybe in opening stations, which we noted. We observed, for example, there were problems with the voter identification kits, which also resulted in delays. We noted again, for example, that ballot boxes were not properly marked in some instances, which could lead to potential confusion. We noted also, for example, that there were problems with people identifying with the new law. So we saw quite a number of people who were not familiar with the new electoral reform and did not know, for example, that they could not vote in the same way they voted in 2019. And they reported to stations only to be told that this time around you have to go to the station that, so voter education we thought maybe needed to be enhanced in order for voters to have a better understanding of where they are voting. We also noted, for example, that maybe some of the polling stations were overloaded, which resulted also in long queues and delays, and maybe the need in future for more polling stations so that you can reduce the number of people that are being handled at each station and create greater efficiency, speed, and less waiting time on the part of voters. Those are some of the things that we thought could be rectified. I think we also, on the other side, noted good practices. For example, the process of verification of votes all the way from casting votes, agents and party agents being allowed to oversee from counting all the way through to transmission, so that before a result is put, it has been thoroughly scrutinized by not only political parties but also by independent auditors. That was one good practice that we saw. The engagement of the IEC with stakeholders and political parties is another thing that we thought was quite well handled. The speedy manner in which litigation was resolved and it did not stop the election from occurring, I think is also the need for speed in resolving litigation. I think that was also a plus. So like I said, there are pluses and there are minuses. There are those recommendations that we make when we feel that there are areas that could be strengthened, and we make those recommendations. But there are those areas that we think we can take with us and impart as best practices for other African countries as well.
You have highlighted some of the important areas of your work. Can you briefly then share your experiences on observing the South African national and provincial elections?
There is no election that doesn't have its challenges, as I've just mentioned. Yeah, but overall, I can say that the election that was held in South Africa is a true reflection of the will of the people of South Africa. And when you say that, you must say, therefore, that the election, despite challenges, was conducted in a relatively good manner. And our hope and our prayer is that democracy is an ongoing process, that by the time you come to the next one, all these challenges which may have been associated with, the change in law, additional ballots, you've learned this through this election, and the next one will definitely be that much better.
Thank you very much for that, His Excellency. Looking ahead, what are some of the key priorities and initiatives that the mission plans to undertake?
As far as our mission now comes to an end on the day of the announcement, we shall now prepare a detailed report which will be available on the AU Commission website. You'll be able to see the detailed report. We were able to release the preliminary report and the more detailed report that will clearly state the issues that we observed and the recommendations that have been made by our team.
Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to speak to Parliament TV. It's really much appreciated.
Thank you very much. And on my part, mine is just to really take this opportunity to congratulate the people of South Africa. I congratulate them for the manner in which they showed patience in their long lines. Despite the delays, they were patient and ready to wait to exercise their democratic right. They were peaceful. And my hope and prayer is that that will extend into the future, and that this election will result in greater prosperity and the betterment of South Africa and her people.